like I said, joining us in studio today for the first hour. Nice to have him. Rob Vanstone making the trek in today. Bye week for you, for the Riders in the CFL. Is the week before bye week really busy for you, or is it this week?
I make it probably busier than it should be because there's all sorts of little statistical projects that I have a lot more time to dig into when isn't a game on the horizon. So this week I'm trying to find every Rider drive in history that's been over 5 minutes in duration, 80 yards in length, or 12 plays. And I'm back to 1971.
What's the most recent one? Have you gone recent?
There was the coolest one I found, the last 109-yard drive that in a Rough Rider game, the quarterback was Trevor Harris. Ottawa was here September of 2018, and Trevor led Ottawa on an 11-play, 109-yard drive, culminating in a 4-yard touchdown pass to future Denver Bronco Deontay Spencer.
Wow.
So it's kind of neat to find these little factoids, and I'm kind of living in fear of we'll have a 109-yard drive and I won't be able to say, well, that's the first one since, or this is the blank in Rider history. So I want to especially have command of 109-yard drives before next week. With my golf game, I've mastered 6-yard drives, but football-wise, I'm focusing on 109.
If you're out there and you have any questions for the great Rob Vanstone, 936-6262, maybe you could try and stump him, which I think is next to impossible. Here's a question for me. I can start the party. When was the last time the Riders were 10-3?
Last time they were 10-3 was 1967. The team was 11-2 in 1970 at this juncture, but as far as 10-3, 1967.
1960. Well, 10 years before I was even on the planet.
Hold on, and 1969.
Okay. So. Last week, Montreal comes in. Any interesting stats in that game? Anything that jumped out in the Montreal game?
My goodness, I really like special teams tackles this year. I think one of the really cool stories in the Rough Riders is Nick Wiebe. When you consider that he was, came back for a game last year, missed the rest of his year, and he had 3 special teams tackles. He's got the team high 15 after 2014 was a virtual washout. The layup is Trevor Harris, 200 career touchdown passes.
Yeah.
The only other quarterback to throw his 200th career touchdown pass in a Saskatchewan uniform was, and this won't be much of a challenge,
Darian?
Ron Lancaster.
That was my guess.
And
Lancaster?
Yeah.
It was late September 472, and 200 at that point was a league record for touchdown passes. And Ronnie was just fattening his league record. I think it was like 188 when he broke it.
You got a question?
I was going to say, didn't Arash say the other stat from that game is Phil Potts' game is the second best all time for a receiver for Montreal?
Yeah, Hal Patterson was in the 330s in 1956.
Which is the best all time. So nice to get second on the list there.
Yeah, Echeverry to Patterson. I wish I don't like being my age, but there's times I'd like to be maybe a decade older or 15 years older, so I could say, yeah, I saw Glenn Dobbs. Yeah, I saw Sam Echeverry to Hal Patterson. I saw Jackie Parker in his prime. I saw the Rocket. I saw Barney Shinkaruk in his prime. Things like that.
Yeah, Gordie Howe Bowl. 1995, my only touchdown.
When's the 30-year anniversary coming up? Should I bring a cake?
A stubby. A 2-liter of what was that awful drink that we used to drink? The Philpott thing at 238, and you don't see a lot of big games like that. What's the Rider? Sorry to put you on the spot here. I could have teed some of this up. Rider record for receiving yards in a game.
260 by Chris DeFrance on August 5th, 1983 against Edmonton. 9 catches, including an 88-yard touchdown in which he lost his helmet after being cranked by a couple of Edmonton players and proceeded the rest of the way. And it's interesting you should mention that record because September 17th of 2010, 15 years ago today, Andy Fantuz came close. He got 255. In overtime against Calgary, Riders won 43-37.
Overtime stats would count?
They do count overtime stats, and which skews things every now and then. But
the That might have been the game Darian was talking about.
Darian threw for like 500 yards that day.
They picked on Milt.
It was.
I think so.
It was an amazing game.
Oh, geez.
500 yards. It just.
That.
What year was that?
When you look at the games Darian had that year, there was the July 1st game against Montreal when he threw 5 touchdowns, a career high, and then later that year got Calgary for 500 yards, a career high.
What a wealth of this is. We could just go.
It's all in the cue cards.
On and on and on. Yeah, Fantus. He was that has to be the game that Darian was talking about.
You said 2010?
Yeah.
Yeah,
September
he was saying
17th,
2010 because Chris Jones liked to do man-on-man or one-on-one, and they put, I think he said Milton, the safety, on Fantus, and so Darian's like, all right.
And the next time Calgary was here was a month later. Stampeders won 34-26. And who scored his first CFL touchdown that day? Corey Mace on a 60-yard fumble return.
Coach Mace.
Yeah.
Yeah. The boys are going. The boys are going up north. We're going to be, like I said, in hour 3. We're going to talk to Mike McCullough because if I remember correctly, Mike talks about the bye week and how they used to go northern Saskatchewan fishing trip. And I think you mentioned there's nothing that comes to mind bye weeks for you, but
I just think of special teams tackles, as you can see, and drive lengths.
This, when did they start with the 3 bye weeks?
When was that? Was that 2 or 3 years ago? I think it went from like 1 to 3 in a hurry.
Do you have a preference?
When you consider the grueling nature of this game, and it's a long season, I think it's good to have 3 recuperative periods during the season, or just periods in which you can unwind, especially the way they're distributed this year. It's almost like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, the way the Roughriders have it. Sometimes it gets really skewed, and you have 2 bye weeks in the final 3 weeks of the season. It's tough with an odd number of teams, but I like the 3 of it. It's just tough to make that compatible with the Grey Cup without the Grey Cup being played on Christmas Day. And so when you're trying to get a Grey Cup in, especially if it's an outdoor Grey Cup, such as is the case this year in Winnipeg, it's tough with 3 bye weeks, and you're trying to compress the season as much as you can, and that's why we've got early June starts now.
I want to ask you this, and you can answer it or you can plead the fifth. If you could do the schedule, when would you start it? When would you end it?
I like it where it is now.
Really?
I really do. Yeah, it's you get to Labor Day and suddenly you're in the stretch run. I think it's I remember when the regular season started. Well, 1975 was the year I first got season tickets, and the season opener that year, I think regular season opener that year was July 23rd. And it's like, okay, the snow's been gone for like 3 months, and the regular season is just starting now, and then you're playing, playoff games on frozen grass fields well into November. The first Grey Cup ever played in Calgary was in 75. They had that game in December, right? So when you consider just maximizing the season, the time of the year where the weather is conducive to playing football, I think we're using more of the time of year when we can take advantage of it. And I look around town and I see ball diamonds empty in July and August, and kind of wonder why is that. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the same when I look back and it's June 25th and it's the Riders preseason opener in 1976. Well, what are we doing for most of June? What about May? Why not get it going?
Absolutely. I'm always of the worry that November, mid-November, and especially we could see it in Winnipeg this year. Really, you could see it Winnipeg, Edmonton, Regina, I guess Calgary as well. Like you can run in like that. Was it 2013, the day before?
Oh,
minus whatever
it was unbelievable.
Everything
on November 24th was beautiful.
Yeah,
but the thing I like about it too, I think it gives us a longer football season period, because the CFL starts in June and the NFL is done in February now. So you've got a larger portion of the year where you've got football to be interested in, to follow really closely. And I like that. It just, the more football, the better. And you just, Same amount, but there's just a longer period where you can, during the year, where you can really say there's regular season football or playoff football.
Speaking of football, if you didn't listen yesterday, we had a great engagement on the text line asking people about their high school names that they remember, high school football names. This is I'm going to pose that to you. Being from Saskatoon, graduating high school in '95, there was a number of up there that went on to the Hilltops and the Huskies. And I remember hearing down in Regina the Neil Hughes, the
Trojans.
Kennedy Nikiasen.
More Tom Trojans.
Yeah. When you think of the high school, maybe throughout the eras, what are the names that jump out? Because you were probably covering a lot of those.
I think of Rob Vanstone. Grade 9 intramural basketball at Campbell Collegiate. I tried one shot that year. It was a layup, and it hit the bottom of the rim going up, and then I was benched. So 0 for 1, grade 9.
They kept you?
They didn't expel me for some reason. I remember 1988, La Boldis had a running back named Byron Davy Duke, who had 8 touchdowns in one game. Unbelievable. John Ryan in the city final in 99 for Sheldon. Pretty much, he'd score a touchdown, then convert his own touchdown. He'd punt. He did everything. And John Ryan was just an absolute marvel at Sheldon. Speaking of Sheldon, Colton Solomon. He was an amazing football player, amazing basketball player, and he went out for the City High School track and field championships one year, and just wasn't with a track club. They just brought him out because he could run. And so he lined up for the 100-yard dash, not in a sprinter's stance, wearing basketball sneakers, and he just set off a sonic boom.
Really?
It was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So those are a few names that come to mind, but
that's the story of the 3 hours right there. We have so many guests coming up, but the Solomon character in his sneakers.
She's going into the Regina Sports Hall of Fame very shortly, but Janine Polischuk, when she went on to start for the U of R Cougars, and when she was with Sheldon. No, I didn't go to Sheldon. I went to Campbell. I keep mentioning Sheldon athletes, but
Mark Mueller went to Sheldon?
Mark went to Sheldon as well. And Steve Mazurek went to Sheldon. He's also going into the Regina Sports Hall of Fame. But just what Janine was able to do and just continue doing. Like it was, and I remember too, like everybody knew Janine was going to win everything. Yet she was so gracious with all the other people. And when she was on the podium with the silver and bronze medal winners, she was just, she made them feel like they'd won gold as well. I just remember the way she handled herself in addition to what she did. So extraordinary. When I was going to Campbell, my first year, they had Sharon Douglas, who went on to play for the national women's team. It was something to see. It was absolutely something to see. She was so dominant on that 77-78 Campbell Tartan's team, coached by Kelly Lovering.
Jeez, what a memory. One thing today, the Riders signed 2025 Global Draft selection Jesse Mirko. 15th overall, they took him in the Global Draft from Australia. Surprise, surprise. Played in Vanderbilt, so he knows his way around Nashville.
Is that where Vanderbilt is?
Yeah. I went to a Jersey Mike. My wife and I actually took an Uber because we loved Jersey Mike so much when we were in the States. Our first trip to Nashville, and we got stuck in this traffic we couldn't figure out. It was $28 each way Uber ride, but we got the Jersey Mikes, and you could hear the stadium.
Wow.
But it was an absolute blowout because college football in the States, you never know what you're going to get. Yeah, but the stadium was right there. People were leaving. It wasn't even halftime. I think they were playing Alabama. When Alabama had Saban and they were a wagon. Yeah, but Vanderbilt's right there. So we have 3 punters now. Am I crazy, or does that seem interesting?
I don't know what the plan is there. I mean, Joe Couch has had a really nice year. James Evans is here. I know they're high on him. Now there's 3 Australian punters. I'm not sure what the blueprint is there. I would be misleading anyone to even hazard a guess.
Do you ever lobby for a trip to go and do a story in Australia on why the punters are?
The riders have told me you can go anywhere you want as long as you don't return. if I want to go to Melbourne, I could probably be there by supper time tomorrow. But
And you got to go on your dime.
you're free. But no per diems either. So
You can go wherever. Yeah, but the Riders sign draft selection Jesse Murko today. So I got 3 punters in the fold. Rob Vanstone is here with me. We got a busy show. We'll take a break. Roscoe's saying he needs a pen and paper when Rob Vanstone is in and all the information that you're spewing. And then Calvin said he could sit and listen to you all day.
oh well, thank you, Calvin. Thank you, Roscoe. I'm flattered that I was hoping that Barney would save the show here. So
Yeah. Holding out hope. Colson, you were talking. You said that there was a time. I don't remember this. And then Rob, when we were in break here, you said you couldn't remember all the where CFL teams would play 2 games in 1 week. I remember seeing that like way back when.
Yeah. So when they added Ottawa, that's when I would have assumed they would go to 3 bye weeks, because mathematically with 9 teams and 18 games, you got to do something, right? So in 2017 here, in week 5, Montreal played in Ottawa Wednesday, July 19th, and then Monday, July 24th, Ottawa played in Toronto, and that both games were in week 5.
See, I could see if it was BC or like even Saskatchewan making the trek out there, staying there, rocking out 2 games in a 5-day span. But those play Montreal and Ottawa, that I took the Via once. It is literally like an hour and a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then Toronto.
that's a great train ride,
isn't it? I wouldn't know why you would drive.
I've done Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal is just
Have you ever been to Quebec City?
I have not. Bucket
there.
list.
Yeah, I want to go there to golf. To watch a CFL game would be great if they ever get a team.
But yeah, then in 2018, they went to, because what we do now is there's 3 bye weeks where there's 3 teams on the bye, right? So we only have 3 games those weeks. And in 2018, that's when they started doing that. So I think 2017 would have been the last year with 2 bye weeks. This is just me speculating. I haven't actually done the math, because that's a lot of math. But
Rob Vanstone's joining us in hour 1 here. We are giving away tickets. Don't forget, Big Rec Live and Econoline Crush, March 1st in Saskatoon, 936-6262. Also, if you got questions for Rob Vanstone, or if you got any stats that you want to throw out, maybe we can fact check them with.
Don't do that. I'm worried this is being audited.
What was the question I was going to ask you? Well, something you said you don't know, but Colson, you said that there's a rumor going around social media today where they're talking about tailgating.
yeah, I saw someone took a screenshot of their season ticket holder email, and in it, Roughriders CEO and President Craig Reynolds says something about the team is efforting to have legal tailgating at the games next year. Now, it's a screenshot on X, so I have no way of actually confirming how real this is.
Allegedly.
Yeah, but Rob, do you know anything?
I have nothing further to add on that. I was
Cool.
I was having lunch scrolling, and that's where I saw it.
Smart.
They just say, Rob, just compile the special teams tackles. Don't you dare get near anything really important.
Let's make it happen. And if they're efforting, which I love that word, by the way, good on them to maybe see. And I'm sure I definitely am missing some parts of what would go on and the legalities and the safety and all that. But we are in the minority that don't do a tailgate. So maybe we'll get there at some point. When you're an NFL fan and your team is
Making me upset. Denver Broncos, the end of that game against the Colts on Sunday is still giving me symptoms.
Yeah. Who do they got this week?
We got the Chargers.
Oh.
So
Good divisional battle there. I don't know if you saw this, and it was going around, and there's so much talk. Tom Brady, who's the minority owner of the Raiders, also working for Fox, doing broadcasts. He was in the Las Vegas Raiders coaches booth and they weren't trying to hide it. He was there. Chip Kelly was up there, which I forgot Chip Kelly was with the Raiders. So the conflict of interest, and I guess we could put it into if it would happen in the CFL, where, if Glenn Suter was all of a sudden minority owner of the Riders, which I know that's not going to happen and people don't fly off the handle here and all that. But then, he's with Mark Mueller in the box, and then he gets to go interview the Elks, who we play next week. And it's a real, for a league that seems to be so buttoned up in a lot of ways, doesn't it just, if you're watching the stream there, you see the picture of him. He's in a suit and tie. He's there, headset on. And then next week, because I think it's the Raiders play the Commanders, and that game is on Fox. Isn't that a weird one?
I mean, the thing is, even if he isn't in the coach's booth, people still know his affiliation with that franchise, and it's ultimately, within the jurisdiction of, say, the quarterback, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, whoever he's having the pregame discussion, just not to say anything that you don't want to say. I think, it's the people who are talking to Tom Brady can ultimately dictate what he does and doesn't find out. It's ultimately, in that case, I think, to Fox's disadvantage, because maybe they wouldn't be as open as they would be with, say, Troy Aikman. And I've seen some of these sessions. I've seen Trevor Harris talking to TSN before the game, for example, and they're pretty candid, but there's also a understanding that this is strictly on the deepest of background, and there aren't any of those affiliations with other teams. So generally, as I understand it, they're pretty open, because, I mean, they're kind of, I remember when Chris Cuthbert used to do the games on, CBC and TSN, and Chris was so prepared, and people trusted him so much because they knew he wasn't going to betray them. And I'm not saying that Tom Brady isn't trustworthy, but given that situation, that structure, I think it's probably to the advantage of whatever team he's communicating with, whatever personnel, just to be careful.
And to your point, you'd
especially
think,
in the NFL, information is everything.
Yeah, the interviews would be so bland, and you would hope that they would be instructed that don't give him anything, basically don't say anything. So then that interview becomes, however long it is of just fluff.
But I go back to Vince Lombardi too. And I mean, so many people are big on what can they find out in advance, what can they infer, what have you. Vince Lombardi, when in the heyday of the Green Bay Packers, they liked to run the power sweep all the time, and everybody knew it was coming. Vince Lombardi, for NFL Films, even diagrammed the play with a camera rolling. And we get a seal here, and Jim Taylor or Paul Hornung goes up the alley. And everybody knew that play was coming. If you execute it properly, you're not going to stop it. And it's ultimately incumbent upon the teams, whatever play they run. If you execute it well, it should work, regardless of whether they know it's coming. It can perhaps help, but it's 12 on 12, and if you do your job right, none of that stuff's going to matter.
This might be a tough one. I just thought about it while we were talking about quarterbacks and attention to detail, because to be a quarterback, you got to be smart. Doesn't matter what, if you're pro, you're playing. In high school, you can get by with the best athlete.
Like me in intramural basketball.
Like you, hitting the bottom of the rim. But
anybody can hit the top of the rim. It takes a special presence.
If you could somehow spin it so it hits it and then spins up, and like a masse, if you're playing snooker. Quarterbacks that you have been around that are just so cerebral, put in so much time, student of the game. Are they all the same, or are there a couple that stand out?
I mean, this will surprise nobody. Trevor Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just all the time. He's also good at compartmentalizing. He's a proud husband and a father of four, and when there's family time, there's family time. But he is so meticulous about the slightest detail. And I always knew that that had to be part of the DNA when you're a quarterback. But just to get a glimpse of it up close, it really is something. The brain is always going. And I mean, hey, Ronnie.
Yeah.
I mean, Ronnie would draw up plays in the dirt.
And such a different time.
Such a different time.
The access that they have nowadays to film on the sideline, instantly, where you go back to Ronnie, you go back to the 80s, it's like, hey, grab the VHS. And then before that, it's grab the reel-to-reel and get it out. Like, they were putting in time.
They were, and there was a lot of time to be put in just getting the film together. They had to have splicers. They had to take it to be developed.
Somebody's smoking inside the room. Your lungs are burning.
It was unbelievable. Now, if you're on a road trip, they're handing iPads to players on the bus after the game. Before the plane's even in the air, they can look at every play they had or any situation. It's amazing what they can do. And I can't imagine how you would have done it 40, 50 years ago. I mean, even videotape was a progression over the old film.
What did we
shot from a press box in stadiums that weren't very well lit with cameras that Charlie Chaplin may have used once upon a time, right? Buster Keaton.
And then, so we went
Harold Lloyd. My dad loved Harold Lloyd.
We went from reel to reel to VHS to, I think there was a DVD in there, and then now it's just all on drives.
Yeah, it's unbelievable
everywhere.
What there is now.
What, Kate? Again, maybe putting in the spot here, but quarterback aside, who's a player, offensive, defensive, that is like a quarterback and that you remember that just put in the time, his craft, what he was doing?
I remember Ken Miller invited me when I was with the Leader Post to follow the team around for an entire morning before practice and just write about what it is they do. And I went into a meeting. I went into the receivers room, and Jason Claremont. We would have absolutely, if you'd watched that meeting and you didn't know who Jason Claremont was, you would think he would have been the position coach. It was amazing, just watching him interact in that room and just see the slightest things. And I mean, that's a receivers room that had Andy Fantuz and Weston Dressler, Rob Bagg, Chris Getzlaff. And I mean, just all very, cerebral, talented receivers in their own right. But, and Jason Claremont, his presence in that room, it just, that, as soon as you mentioned that, I just couldn't help go back to that little room at Taylor Field, just watching him do what he did. Hugh Campbell. Hugh Campbell wrote a university thesis on the art of being a receiver.
Really?
Yeah. And he was he wasn't the fastest guy, he wasn't the biggest guy, he wasn't the strongest guy, had the best hands probably in history, but he had to be a really smart player to do it without having the blazing speed. And him and Ronnie, it was like they were connected by a wire. I remember hearing stories about Ronnie and Rhett Dawson when Rhett was here, and Steve Mazurek and the receiving corps in the mid-'70s, and they would go to a coffee shop and just, there was practice and there was the formal playbook, and then they would just sit around and after practice and diagram plays on a napkin.
That is
just working as a unit. Lancaster, Mazurek, Tom Campan, Leif Pedersen. That whole group.
That's awesome. I know we got Dale Durkach. Okay, one more quick one for me right now, and you're around the team so much, and I heard there's a ping pong table. I don't know what else going on. Who are the competitors? Guys that are they're all competitors. They're all alpha males for the most part playing on the team, but there's always a couple of guys that they're still like they're 12 years old, hate losing.
I'm trying to remember. I was watching a what's the thing where they throw the
cornhole?
They were having a cornhole. They used to have a cornhole thing in the middle of the dressing room, and it was like Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. This cornhole thing, right? I don't even clearly remember who the Rodney Clemens was one of the participants. I think it was 2023, and he was nailing every shot. Yeah, it was just like, these guys are playing professional football. They're playing sports for money, and they are so into this cornhole. Yeah. I think when you have that in your DNA, I don't think it matters what you're competing. I mean, Ronnie was. He wanted
to win everything.
If Ronnie was playing cards, if you were playing, handball against Ronnie at the Y, anything. I mean, he was so competitive, and I just can't imagine anybody being more competitive than him. He just every ounce of him wanted to win at whatever he was doing.
Big handball guy. That's one sport that I've seen played. Never played it. Never tried it.
I never have. Was that the one John Candy was playing in that movie while he was smoking? Handball, racquetball, squash. What was it? Was one of those.
I want to say it was a squash or racquetball, but I know exactly what
Wasn't
you're
that a
talking
great
about.
scene? I love the cigarette one.
Yeah, a racquetball I played, and then squash. That squash ball doesn't go anywhere, man. But you want to get a workout in. That was any kind of racket sport like that. So
I mean, a squash ball doesn't go anywhere. A basketball just somehow doesn't go through the bottom of the hoop with the kind of reliability that I was hoping for. I should have gotten a point if it at least went through the bottom.